Just like to have an overview of the nitrogen rule that was in the news again last week. Good morning, Commissioner Frederickson.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. I haven't been introduced as special guest before, so I was wondering which special guest you wanted down here.
Well, consider yourself a special guest.
Bless your heart. Thank you. It's good to be here. Good to get an opportunity to talk about the nitrogen fertilizer management rule that we've been involved in for a long time. Again, good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the committee, and certainly thank you for the opportunity to join you this morning. My name is Dave Frederickson, and I serve as the Commissioner of Agriculture. Ag is, as you heard early on, this is a cornerstone of our state's economy. Our farmers contribute immensely to the social and the economic fabric of our state. A key ingredient to a strong and successful farm economy is indeed access to clean water. After all, good water makes good food. It's certainly no secret that access to safe, clean water has long been a pillar of success for our agriculture and food economy and Minnesota's high quality of life. Our water in Minnesota also contributes to the social fabric of the state. Farmers, agribusiness, and all Minnesotans understand and appreciate that access to clean water is vital to their economic success. At the Department of Agriculture, we're charged with a unique but I think appropriate mission to enhance our farm economy and protect the health of our environment. It's in our mission. In Minnesota and across the country, we face challenges with excessive nitrate in our groundwater. Some of this, indeed, is naturally occurring, but a large percentage is being contributed by human activity. Since the passage of the Groundwater Protection Act in 1989, the department has sought to educate Minnesotans and promote efficient fertilizer use, whether it is used in farm fields, in flower beds, or in gardens. As directed by the Groundwater Protection Act, the department has developed a nitrogen fertilizer management plan, which is the state's blueprint for how we will work together to address elevated nitrate levels in our groundwater. The first nitrogen fertilizer management plan was drafted in 1990. In 2010, under Governor Plenty, the MDA began a revision of the nitrogen fertilizer management plan. This revised plan was developed in consultation with an advisory committee comprised of Minnesota farmers, agronomists, commodity groups, and environmental organizations. The revision process lasted 5 years, and MDA addressed 420 written comments before finalizing the plan in 2015. The plan is rooted in science and it's practical. It outlines both voluntary and regulatory approaches to address groundwater challenges across our state. Last summer, the department released an informal draft rule. This informal draft rule was intended to solicit feedback and begin a conversation about the groundwater challenges we face. As part of our commitment to public engagement, we took an unprecedented approach and we held 17 listening sessions across the state. We also met with any farm and environmental organization or group that was interested in learning more about the rule. In total, we met with more than 1,500 people, received 820 written comments. As you can imagine, the feedback we received touched and challenged every part of the draft rule. As I said last summer, and my apologies to Representative Mahoney, the final rule will have a healthy dose of common sense in it. Last week, after many months of work, Governor Dayton and I announced a revised groundwater protection rule. This new rule will focus strictly on areas of the state that have coarse textured soils and where drinking water protection areas exist. These are the most vulnerable areas of the state for groundwater contamination, and we have an obligation to work with farmers, landowners, and local communities to protect these vital resources. Again, this is a common sense approach that will provide positive impacts to our state groundwater quality, yet reasonable and balanced enough to understand that farmers in these areas of the state need to make a living. The draft nitrogen fertilizer rule released in June of 2017 was not and will not be the final rule. It was a discussion draft. In releasing a draft rule and holding an informal comment period, the agency was able to continue its longstanding record of a robust public engagement regarding nitrogen fertilizer use. As we continue to roll this rule out, I will personally be traveling across the state to present the draft rule to farmers and any interested Minnesotan. In addition to presenting the rule, my team and I will continue to listen and continue to work with farmers local communities to refine and improve the rule. Mr. Chair and members, we do have a problem with nitrates in our groundwater, and as policymakers, we have a legal and we have a moral obligation to address it. More than 50% of Minnesotans rely on groundwater-based public water systems for their drinking water, and the approach that the department is taking to this rule is reasonable, it is practicable, and it is science-based. If you look at 103H and look at the preamble, they use the word practical, and I've told you this before, Mr. Chairman, 4 times. I understand what practical means. It means common sense. Common sense means practical, and that's what we hope to bring to this discussion today. Mr. Chairman and members, I'm pleased to try to answer any questions you might have. I'm joined by my colleague and Assistant Commissioner at the Department of Ag, Ms. Susan Stokes.
Good morning, Ms. Stokes. Questions from members or none that I see? My first question, Commissioner, Ms. Stokes, on your map, the shaded areas, in that has changed a great deal from the original map that came out. The shaded areas, fall restrictions, are we talking about just nitrogen or all fall applications of fertilizer?
All fall. We're talking, Mr. Chairman and members, this is the nitrogen rule, nitrogen fertilizer rule.
Okay.
It's nitrogen. So whether it's in the form of a liquid, in the form of anhydrous ammonia or gas, or whether it's in the form of urea, it's nitrogen fertilizer.
Commissioner, I checked with my crop consultant this morning, and if I wanted to put on in the fall my P and K, phosphorus, potassium, on a analysis that has 80 pounds of each of those 2 in it, there's going to be about 25 to 30 pounds of nitrogen. Would that restrict me from applying P and K in the fall?
With DAP and MAP, we're looking at 40 pounds, and so
Okay.
you should be in good shape.
Okay, very good, very good. More questions? This is our chance. Representative Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I just want to thank the department for the efforts that you made to go around the state and hear the people. And I want to remind us all, this does relate to the other issue as well. This is fundamentally a health issue, and I think it's a brave Department of Agriculture to go after this one. But as one who represents the city of St. Peter, which is impacted by this rule because of the wellhead protection area, I want the people to know that the city of St. Peter years ago put in a reverse osmosis system. And the citizens of that community have been paying for years for that reverse osmosis system due to nitrates. And they've done it very quietly. They've just went ahead and did it. I also want to refer to a gentleman who farms in that wellhead protection area, who was at our town hall meeting the other day, who said he thoroughly understands that because he farms in that wellhead protection area, that he has some different responsibilities. And I hope that's the attitude that we come, and that the background that we come to this discussion today, because based on the last issue, I think this can be heated as well. but this is a fundamental health issue related to drinking water that affects young children. Thank you very much.
Comment, Commissioner, Ms. Stokes? Okay. Mr. Commissioner, the first go-around, the first draft, you released that and you did make efforts to get all over the state. I thank you for that. Your comment period was 78 days after that one, and now on this one, you're looking at a 30-day comment period. Could that be made longer, or what's the reason for the 30-day period the second time? Ms. Stokes.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, there is some flexibility in that date, and we're hearing requests to extend it, and we'll take those under advisement. We're working under an administrative rulemaking process, and there are multiple requirements behind the scenes about where the drafts have to go and how long each party gets at MMB or the administrative law judge. But we have heard those comments, and we will look at a longer period. There also will be additional opportunities to comment this summer when we have our hearings before the administrative law judge. We intend to hold those around the state, and we'll be taking oral testimony at those as well.
Thank you. Representative Paap.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I thank you for your work. Thank you. I know that this has been a long time. It's been a work of art as much as science, and so I appreciate that you've been spending the time on that. But I would say a couple of things. One is that to get the rule out as soon as possible. I know that that also is a part of the time frame that you have to deal with, but that's certainly something that I've heard, that people would like to see it sooner rather than later. If you can extend the comment period from 30 days to 60 or something, it also comes out at a time when farmers will be busy. So we want to be able to have that opportunity that they can comment, that they can review it, they can understand it. Have statewide meetings again. I appreciate that you've done that. And even statewide meetings in places that might not be the largest city in a region, but maybe some of the smaller towns and some of the smaller communities, so that people can feel as though they're able to get to a meeting and they feel more comfortable. You know, sometimes in a large facility, you might not feel as safe to be able to comment, and so just that would be the other thing. And then I know there potentially are exemptions. And maybe just to be able to clarify that as you go through the process too, that if there's, what that might be and how that looks, so that people can know how they are going to be impacted.
Representative,
Stokes.
Mr. Chair,
Thank you,
members
Mr.
of the
Chair.
committee. We intend to get the rule published as soon as possible. We have to get a couple weeks' notice to the Federal Register, and something called the Statement of Need and Reasonableness has to be published with it. So those have to go together. So we will get those out just as quickly as we can. And so I just wanted to assure you of that.
Follow-up, Representative.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just one other thing on the map. I know that the dismas, whatever you say that. The green ones, you can kind of see a couple, but you can't see a lot of them. So I don't know if there's just, the
There.
purple map is good, but a green map would be good too, just so that people can know how they're impacted within. So as the clarity is going to be important. Clarity and communication, transparency, all of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Paap, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Commissioner.
You're right, that there are 31 DWISMAs, which are commonly referred to as drinking water supply management areas. Those green spots are literally buried under the purple. There are 31 of them. The largest would be wellhead protection area in and around Hastings, which would be about 59,000 acres. The smallest would be probably in Rock County, way down in the lower left-hand corner, and that would be about 200 acres. And so the focus on DWISMAs, for lack of a better word, is the idea that you want to impact the most people on this issue, and so thus the focus on those green areas. But we'll make sure that they're lifted out of that purple area. What do you get when you make green and purple? Do you get what color? No? Gray. Yeah, probably.
Ms. Stokes, looking at the press release, and I appreciate that, level 3, we bring in what's called a local advisory team. Could you talk about who that is and what they would be empowered with?
Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. The local advisory teams will be groups of local farmers and agronomists that will advise the commissioner as these areas move through the levels of what we're calling Part 2 of the rules. So, and we already have begun working on these under the nitrogen management fertilizer plan. We've stood up 4 of these local advisory teams already, and it's our view that it's going to, the best chance of succeeding in addressing the nitrate issue is going to be working with local farmers and local agronomists in understanding what practices and what best management practices will work in those areas. With regard to the revised rule, what will happen is before any regulation can be imposed in these DWISMAs, the commissioner will be required to consult with those local advisory teams before coming up with specific orders about what practices should be required in those areas. And they'll start, of course, with the best management practices, but then based a lot on what we heard from the feedback at the listening sessions, and you attended one of those, we heard comments over and over about the precision ag methods that farmers are already using. Those local advisory teams will be able to bring that expertise into the process as it goes through in those areas.
Thank you. So beginning at the level 3 is where the mandatory BMPs would begin to take place?
Mr. Chair, yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Only in the drinking water supply management areas, and I think that's justified because we're impacting a serious amount of people.
Representative Sauk.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm interested in that in our personal lives, oftentimes these kinds of things silo away from us rather than being in a form that we included into our cognizant world. I happen to live very close to one of these green dots over here, or at least I used to, and then we moved to Rochester where we have city water, so we sort of ignore this issue of pollutants in wells. That area around Plainview, which is what is that one green spot down there that can be seen relatively easily, almost everybody knows that when they're drilling a well, they probably aren't going to be successful unless they go extraordinarily deep. I'm wondering if there's a cross or a confluence of this information across all of the kinds of times that it might enter into somebody's life, not just farmers. It would be, health department for well drilling, zoning issues for, again, well drilling that would happen. So that sometimes this stuff silos itself so much that it's almost like you couldn't see it unless you happen to be able to get at it from a different place.
I think there's a question there.
Yeah,
Mr. Chairman, yeah, I don't mean to be glib about it, but we're operating under 103H, which was required by the legislature. And so the siloing really occurs in the chapter. These are our responsibilities. Yes, there are other agencies that have other responsibilities in terms of water, but this is ours. And we have, again, rulemaking authority under 103H.
Yeah.
That, I don't, I'm struggling to get to the,
Quickly,
Yep,
Representative Sauk.
I think that's adequate answer for what I was fishing for, because I'm really only struggling to find out how somebody who is just a person, not specifically in one of these areas, or these agricultural endeavors, that they would be afforded this information, which is critical because this is the tainting of their well water. But, okay, thank you.
in Minnesota, Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Commissioner.
we do have silos, but we're good at connecting them with skywalks rather than tearing them down. So we work together with other state agencies continuously, and health is certainly one.
We're going to get our testifiers up here in just a second. In the meantime, Kirby Hettver, you're up, and Kevin Paap on deck, Mark Gamm, and Gretchen Sable. Representative Vice Chair Backer.
No, I'll
Oh, okay.
forget it.
Let's go to our testifiers then. Kirby Hettver. Good morning, sir. Identify yourself and proceed.
Mr. Chair,
Members of the committee, my name is Kirby Hettver. I currently serve as president of the Minnesota Corn Growers Association, and I farm near DeGraff, Minnesota. The proposed nitrogen fertilizer rule being developed by the Minnesota Department of Ag has been a subject of a lot of discussion, obviously, and some controversy among farm organizations, conservation groups, and other stakeholders. The Minnesota Corn Growers Association has played a constructive role in the process with goals of ensuring the rule is fair, based on accepted science, and implemented in a manner that does not impose undue hardship on Minnesota farmers, especially during this time of economic stress throughout farm country. I would like to highlight 3 issues today for the committee. First, Minnesota Corn Growers Association's concerns about the proposed rule. Second, Minnesota Corn Growers Association's concerns about the remaining process. And third, I'd like to speak a little bit to the actions that Minnesota corn farmers are doing to increase nitrogen use efficiency and mitigate our impacts. First, Minnesota corn growers' concerns about the proposed rule. As expressed this morning, there's some, based on some comments that we submitted to MDA last summer with the initial draft proposal. First, for mapping, we need specificity and transparency with regards to the criteria used to develop the vulnerable areas of the map. In addition to soils and geological data, those things should be based on monitoring data as well. Section boundaries are too coarse for prohibiting fall and frozen soil applications of nitrogen fertilizer, given that we do manage farms at the field and subfield scale. The 20-pound per acre total nitrogen limit associated with the fall MAP and DAP applications is too restrictive. We agree on that and have voiced our opinion. If you want more details on comments that we provided last summer, please feel free to go to minnesotacorn.org, where you can view not only our public comments, but all 800+ public comments that were received by the Department of Ag. Addressing concerns about the process moving forward. At the press conference last week, Governor Dayton, Commissioner Frederickson outlined the revised timeline for the rule. And our primary concern is that with the current timeline being published in mid-May, we may be done planting corn or beans, but farmers like myself are going to be focused on crop protection and split nutrient application in season. So from a timing standpoint, it's not very good timing for us to reply. Additionally, revised timeline indicates a 30-day public comment. I'm happy to hear that there might be some flexibility there, whether it's similar to last summer's 75-day period or a 90-day period, which we would strongly support. We also farmers need to understand, again, how the draft rule will impact their specific farming operations and need to see interactive GIS maps. As we experienced with implementation of the buffer law, there were several errors in the detailed DNR maps that need to be addressed. Minnesota farmers need and deserve the same opportunity with adequate time to understand the impacts for their operation through detailed GIS maps. Finally, I'd like to provide some information on actions that Minnesota corn farmers are taking to increase nitrogen use efficiency and mitigate impacts. Minnesota's corn farmers are continuously working to improve and become better stewards of our state's natural resources while maintaining a thriving rural economy. That's why Minnesota Corn Growers has made a commitment to a very ambitious goal. Minnesota's corn farmers will become the most sustainable and environmentally responsible corn farmers in the United States. To work towards this goal, since 2014, Corn farmers have invested nearly $6 million of our own funds through our corn checkoff in education and research, specifically around nitrogen. MCGA is working with leading researchers to develop best management practices that protect Minnesota's drinking water while maintaining productive farm operations. In addition to our investment with third-party researchers, we're also working with grower leaders, innovators out in the field through our Minnesota Corn Innovation Grant Program. These things help farmers identify ways that might be best management practices down the road, and by thinking of new ideas on ways to better implement technology or practices on the farm. Efforts to ensure that proven research and innovative practices are translated into the field. Since 2015, we have spent $2.8 million on directed nitrogen-specific education programs. I'd like to highlight a program, the University of Minnesota Extension's Nitrogen Smart program, which is helping farmers become more effective with their use of nitrogen. In closing, we appreciate that MDA has been working for the last couple of years on this issue, and working specifically in the last week to put out more details with the draft rule. We do especially appreciate the work that dedicated MDA staff is doing to put together these details as fast as possible. We do believe that for us to best inform our membership, we need to be able to evaluate the rule in its entirety and urge its full release. Because of our strong belief in addressing the concerns that I have outlined this morning and need to ensure corn farmers are able to fully participate in the public engagement, a letter submitted this morning by MCGA to Governor Dayton has been included in your packets. On behalf of Minnesota corn growers, I want to thank you for the opportunity to testify this morning on our concerns about the proposed rule, about the remainder of the process, and about the opportunity to share with you what we're doing to increase nitrogen efficiency. With that, Chairman, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Hettver. Not seeing any Kevin Paap, and we will also get to Steve Morse or Mike Petefish too. If you can't be back tonight, we'll get to you yet today. So we'll get the testifiers. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. For the record, my name is Kevin Paap. I'm president of Minnesota Farm Bureau. Minnesota Farm Bureau is the largest farm organization in the state. We have 78 county or regional farm bureaus and have over 30,000 member families. You know, as farmers who live on the land our families farm, we understand the importance of protecting our natural resources. You know, I'm not a lot different than any of the other farmers in the room today. You know, I'm fourth generation. The driveway I drove out of on the way to the Capitol was the same driveway our family used 119 years ago. In fact, if you don't count college, I've only ever lived in 3 houses on 2 farmyards a half a mile from each other. Why is that significant? Is because that's around 320 acres of farmland, a public drainage ditch that was built in 1944. And I say again that those farmers, all of us as farmers that live on the land that we farm, understand the importance of protecting our natural resources. We take our commitment to sustainability and land stewardship very seriously. We look forward to working with our legislators, government agencies, and researchers to develop new methods, new technologies to conserve our natural resources and protect our environment. We ask the Minnesota Department of Agriculture to increase their support of research and outreach that will continue to improve nutrient management processes. Agriculture, farming is all about continual improvement. Minnesota Farm Bureau believes the focus of this research should be on the most up-to-date best management practices, timed application of nitrogen, and the usage of precision agriculture. You know, with today's topics, I think all the topics included, we really believe in Farm Bureau in a regulatory process that is transparent, consistent, accountable, non-duplicative, and cost-effective, with open, fair, and early stakeholder involvement. We believe if you feel that the rulemaking process is fair, you'll have a better understanding of those results. Farm Bureau members will continue working to create opportunities for continuous improvement in productivity, environmental quality, and human well-being. Be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Paap. Any questions? Seeing none, Mark Gamm, hope I've got that correct. And then Gretchen Sable, you're on deck.
Mr. Chair, member of the committee, thank you.
Good morning.
You're right, it's Mark Gamm.
Okay.
I work for Dodge County and here representing Dodge County. I'm the Environmental Service Director. I've been in that position for 28 years. And I want to just give you a little background about where we're coming from the nitrogen rulemaking process, but also House File 2727 and House File 2887. So in 1990, Dodge County adopted its local water management plan, just like many other counties in the state have done. The highest priority of our plan is the protection of groundwater. The bills, House File 2727 and House File 2887 regarding nitrogen fertilizer, will limit the ability of the Department of Agriculture to protect drinking water. Therefore, those bills are in direct conflict with our local water management plan. Dodge County is located in southeast Minnesota. About 70% of our land area is in row crop agriculture, primarily corn and soybeans. For the most part, farmers in Dodge County are good stewards of the land, environmental conscious, and in many cases, they're already adopting best management practices. Yet, our nitrogen concentrations are not reducing, they're not getting lower. Dodge County has been sampling groundwater wells in Dodge County for 20 years. We have over 2,500 samples collected from private wells, and that's over and above what the MDA has tested. Those tests indicate that 21% of the wells have nitrate in them above the background levels, and that 7% of those wells are drinking water that's above the health risk limit. In Dodge County, drinking water sources are highly vulnerable. They're part of that purple area. And those are areas that have shallow soils over limestone bedrock or over a sand aquifer. People living in those areas have even a higher chance of nitrate being in their groundwater above the health risk limit. So to reiterate, it appears that House File 2727 and House File 2887 conflict with the goals of the Dodge County Water Management Plan and reduce the options available to protect drinking water from fertilizer contamination. So thank you again for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Gamm. Questions? Seeing none, Gretchen Sable. And then if they want to testify now, Steve Morse and Mike Petefish. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. Mr. Chair, thank you very much. My name is Gretchen Sable. I'm here on behalf of the League of Women Voters of Minnesota, and I thank you for allowing me to testify. I think this may be the first time that League of Women Voters has been before the Ag Committee, and I'd like to say that we're doing this because while LWV Minnesota is a nonprofit organization that encourages informed and active participation in government, we also work to increase understanding of major public policy issues and to influence policy through education and advocacy. We do take positions, though, on issues after a grassroots study and consensus process. We don't endorse political parties or candidates. Nutrient pollution, particularly nitrates in drinking water, is one of the issues that we're working on, though, so that's why I'm here today. We do oppose House Files 2727 and 2887. The Groundwater Protection Act, now codified in 103H, was written to protect the people of Minnesota who use groundwater for drinking water. This act laid out a process that's been followed closely by Department of Ag at a pace that has allowed for much public input and deliberation, as Commissioner Frederick outlined. More than 20 years after passage of this act, the MDA has proposed rules that follow the process laid out in the Administrative Procedures Act under MS 40, Minnesota Statutes 14. The nitrogen fertilizer rule proposed by MDA takes the next step in implementing that, and public input has been sought all along the way. Despite all the voluntary actions that have been taken to date, we see nitrate increasing in our water, and that's a major concern for people that consume the water, many of our League of Women Voters members. We see public and private wells impacted. We did submit a handout that documents some of that, so I won't go through that. But we do believe there's a pressing need for additional action to reduce nitrogen loading to our groundwater, even from agricultural nitrogen fertilizers. To stop or slow action on reducing this is irresponsible. The bills before you today would prevent the Department of Ag from taking the required next steps to implement the act and remove the rights of those citizens that have participated in the process to date. The draft fertilizer rule is the first of many steps that will need to be taken to reduce the level of nutrients lost from agricultural sources. The Groundwater Protection Act provides a process for reducing contamination of groundwater. The law's application to nitrates is overdue, given the number of public and private water supplies now impacted by elevated nitrates. We appreciate the work the Department of Agriculture has undertaken to implement this law, and we urge the process be allowed to continue. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Sable. Are you representing the state organization
I am.
or a local organization?
The League of Women Voters exists at many levels, and so I belong to the League of Women Voters ABC in the Anoka area. I'm here representing League of Women Voters Minnesota, which lobbies on state issues, and I'm also chair of the League of Women Voters of the Upper Mississippi, a multi-state organization that addresses nutrient issues in the Mississippi.
Thank you very much. Questions? Seeing none, must be getting close to lunch. Good morning, Mr. Morse. Identify yourself and proceed.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members. My name is Steve Morse. I'm the Executive Director of Minnesota Environmental Partnership, and we're the state's largest coalition of environmental conservation organizations. And I have a couple of handouts. Can I possibly
Sure.
get
Our
those
page
distributed?
is
You have a page
right here on the
with
spot.
that? Great, thank you. I will note, but won't go into details, that it was 30 years ago that I, as a member of the state Senate, introduced our first groundwater legislation, and 29 years ago that as chief author I passed and shepherded this legislation through the legislature. And there are a lot of pieces of that bill that have been enacted in the preceding almost 30, in the 30 years after that. But what hasn't been done until this time is for the Department of Ag to actually step forward and say, we're going to use our regulatory authority to protect the waters of the state of Minnesota, specifically through using these water resource protection requirements. So I want to say, just make 3 points, and I'll try to be quick. There are some really good things, there are some bad things, and coming up, there are some worse bad things. And I'm not going to say good, bad, and ugly, but it's kind of like that. So the good things are that we're really happy to see the department moving forward, recognizing that this is a definite public health risk and a public health threat. I'm handing out 2 pieces of paper. If you look to the back of this sheet here, where it lists the communities that have drinking water levels that are elevated water levels, and then we also put on here those high and very high crop acres that are in row crops. And that is really the primary driver of these elevated nitrogen levels in our drinking water supplies. And so if you look across this list, in my home area, for example, of Lewiston, Spring Grove, and southeast Minnesota, you'll see a number of acres that are currently in row crop agriculture where we have elevated drinking water supplies for our public. This is a very targeted approach that isn't a scattershot across the whole state, but it's a targeted approach the department is taking to protect these public drinking water supplies. In southeast Minnesota, in my home county of Winona, 19% of the wells that are tested are already in excess of the public drinking water level, the safe drinking water level. So we're glad to see moving forward. The second point I want to make is that we definitely see shortcomings in this rule as well. Number one, the process is too slow, as you just heard in the testimony from Ms. Sable. We're doing these practices, as you heard from Dodge County, we're doing these practices. Farmers, as you heard from the corn growers, are doing better and better about efficiency. The problem is the rates still keep going up. It's not just about how we get efficiency of our fertilizer, it's about more fundamental change, how we put cropping systems in place, how we put different crops and cover crops in place that will actually make this difference. So we think the response time is still way too slow and the rule implementation is way too slow. As we get into more details of the rule, we see more limits coming in to limit the agency's authority, which we're concerned with because we really have to get to some of these changes to protect the public health. Thirdly, there's obviously a big hole in that we're not protecting the private waters wells. I have a private water well in rural Winona County where we have this high level of contamination, and we should be doing more to protect all those people on private water supplies across rural Minnesota. This really ducks that. That being said, the last thing we'd want to see is have the legislature intervene and stop the process by stopping the rule or in some way limiting the commissioner's authority to move ahead. This has been more than a generation in coming, and it's a very modest step. We estimate from health department numbers, there are at least 225,000 Minnesotans who live in these communities with elevated nitrogen level. And if we as a state can't take some modest, tepid steps to move forward to protect that nearly 250,000 Minnesotans, I think there is something in our water because we're not acting in good faith, or good sense. So, Mr. Chairman, I know I would be short, so let me just stop there, and I'd be happy to stand for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Morris.
Oh, the other thing I just wanted to mention,
Go ahead.
this is a map of a DWISMA for, I think this one is Park Rapids. And what's interesting is it can show the vulnerability areas. These orange areas are the highly vulnerable areas where we would say we really need protection from continuous living cover on the land. We need measures that are going to protect the water. The area right by the city is a lower area, but this whole thing constitutes what's called the DWISMA, or the wellhead protection area, just so you can see it visually.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Petefish. And these last two are going to testify on the bills that we had up today, but again, we aren't going to get to them this morning. We will be coming back this afternoon after session to finish up the last three bills. Go ahead, sir. Sirs, good morning.
Chairman Anderson, members of the board. Excuse me. My name is Michael Petefish. I'm a third-generation corn and soybean farmer from southeast Minnesota. I currently am the president of the Minnesota Soybean Growers Association and represent 25,000 Minnesota soybean farmers. I'm here because we are very concerned about this proposed rule and the direction that it's heading from the administration. I do appreciate all the listening sessions the department has had and their attempt to reach out and hear us. However, we feel that a number of our concerns have not been met or have not been heard. I'm specifically referencing the published text that was released last year by the Department of Ag. And fundamentally, we feel this is a solution looking for a problem, as we have not seen any cases of these things since 1980, as according to the Minnesota Department of Health. We believe that the map for exemptions is arbitrary and does not, it unnecessarily restricts fall nitrogen, and it does not account for current farming practices. We don't feel the department has demonstrated the rate at which nitrogen moves through the soil profile. Many of these wells are several hundred feet deep, and if I've employed best management practices today, what's to say that that is actually impacting the aquifer below in the next 3 years when they're taking their regulatory window to look at my farm? So in fact, we may be getting regulated for farming practices from years past. We also think this has unintended surface water consequences as you fundamentally shift farming practices from fall application in the forms of ammonia, which make a strong bond with soil and are relatively stable. You may actually encourage more plant readily available forms of nitrogen, such as nitrate, which are more leachable in the soil if farmers get pushed into a tighter operating window in the spring because they're now trying to do more operations prior to planting. For those reasons and others, we essentially support HF 2887 because we feel that this needs legislative oversight and that some of these rules are being made or decisions being made while we're being in the field and very busy. So we would like to see legislative oversight on those. So thank you. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, sir.
Just quickly, Chair, members, I'm Joe Smentek. I'm the Director of Public Affairs for Minnesota Soybean. And again, our organization does support Representative Backer's Bill 2887. The Groundwater Protection Act has been cited a few times here this morning, and in that, the Department of Agriculture has some specific authorities over agricultural chemicals and waters where they're polluted by that. The current text does no looking at why these groundwaters are polluted, so we think that there is an excess of the authority there. And as you mentioned on the MAP and DAP issues, we're concerned about the change in definition from the legislature's definition of what a fertilizer is to what they have in their rule, and we think bringing this back before you guys to let you guys have a voice in this process as well is important. Thank you. We'll answer any questions.
Thank you.